Hi, welcome everyone. We're going to be talking about adding and subtracting polynomials, starting off the brand new unit. So there will be lots of vocabulary. So our formal learning objective, we will learn stuff. Yeah, it's very specific, right? Specifically, we will learn to add and subtract polynomials. What are polynomials, we say? We will learn. Of degree 1. And you'll know what degree 1 means in a little bit too. 1 and degree 2. Okay, so one thing I want to make sure that we remember from way back when was a monomial, right? And so just really quick, I mean, when we're talking actually about monomial, there's monomial, binomial, trinomial, and polynomial. Any idea what those different things mean? Anybody know what monomial is? I always think of the monorail at Disney World. There's also like Monopoly. Any ideas? Has anybody ever been to Disney World? All right, so in Disney World, they have a monorail, and I think Chicago has it too. And it is basically a train that runs on one rail. That's why it's called mono. So mono is one, okay? And then bicycle, how many tires on that one? Jack, you know how many tires on a bicycle? Think real hard. Did you hear it? Okay. Yay, it is 2. Okay, and guys, I really do need to hear from you. It kind of just makes me feel, and that's everybody like on the chat and whatnot. Okay, so all together, go ahead and put in the chat. How many tires does a tricycle have? It's kind of like a mic check here. Let's go. One second. All right, that's right, boys and girls. It's 3 tires on a tricycle. So bi is 2, tri is 3, and mono is 1. And poly is when we just stop counting and we say 1 or more, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and let me refresh your brain on monomial. And I found a little space down here. So I'm just gonna say, remember, okay, that a monomial is the product of non-negative exponents, or non-negative, yeah, is the product of non-negative, I feel like that's missing something. The product of, yeah, with non-negative exponents I'm gonna add in here non-negative, what are they called? Variables of products of variables. Let me show you what I mean, okay? A monomial is the product of a variable with non-negative exponents. Okay, let me make that like in plain English, okay? Basically, no variables in the denominator. Got it? That's part of the rule. No variables in the denominator. One of the things that we're going to be talking about a little bit later on. So I can't have anything like, if I have like x squared, that's fine. But as soon as I put y on the bottom, that's not a monomial, right? And the reason being, and we're going to get into this a little later on, is that this is equivalent to this. So if you see a negative exponent or a variable in the denominator, this is not a monomial. Okay, that's our counter example. And then an example of a monomial would be something like this. And I know I usually put my counter on the other side, but x squared y. We could even put a 5 in front, that's fine. This is an example of a monomial. Do you happen to remember, Zach, like what do we separate monomials with? They're basically like, it's like one term, right? And terms are separated with, do you happen to remember? Like this is a term, like a monomial is one term. And they're usually separated with like pluses. So it's like pluses, what else? Close. It's an operation. Minus and equal. So take a note of that if you don't remember. So these are separated by plus, minuses, and equals. And it's been a while, so we'll definitely talk about that as we get into this, okay? So I'm gonna go back up. It's okay if I go up? Y'all just pause the video, I guess, if you're in video land. And let's get into this. So a polynomial, it's one or more, is a monomial, that's one, or a sum of monomials. Okay, those are essentially terms. So let me give you an example. Let's say I've got like 5 plus x squared minus y plus 2z. And I put little lines through my z so you know they're z's. So how many terms do you think are here? Okay, let's see. We're gonna put signs in front of, we're gonna put a little line in front of every plus or minus, right? And then we just draw a box around it and we count. And so we have 1 term, 2 terms, 3 terms, and 4 terms, right? So this actually has 4 terms. There's 4 monomials there, right? And so one or more, it is a polynomial, okay? Let's try it again. Here we're gonna have the sum of 2 monomials. It's by, right? So it's 2 monomials. AKA terms. And so if I had something like this, it would maybe like 5 plus x squared, right? And I just put a line in front of there. And again, I'm putting a line in front of any plus, a minus, or an equal sign. And there we go with our 2 terms, which is why we call it a bi, okay? Binomial. All right, next one. I'm gonna go ahead here and we're gonna have a trinomial, 3 monomials. Okay. And this essentially would be something like this, 5 plus x squared minus y. Okay. And there we have our 3, because we put a line in front of the negative, in front of the positive, and I draw a box, and I got 3 little boxes, 3 monomials. Okay. Does that make pretty good sense? Clear? Okay, cool. Now let's go ahead and let's talk about what the degree of a monomial is. So we're going to be focused on just the one term, just the one monomial, okay? And on that one, it is the sum of the exponents of all its variables. Okay, so for example, let's say I have x to the 2nd power. Well, this means that I have my exponent is the little number, right? This is the base is x, right? And the exponent is 2. And so I'm just adding up any exponents that I have on top of a variable. So this has a degree of 2. Okay, and then if I have something like this, 3x to the 2nd power, y to the 4th, what do you think the degree for that one's going to be? Yes, we add the 2 plus 4 and we get 6. Okay, so we don't care about the coefficient, just adding up the little exponents. Okay, now we have the degree of a polynomial. Okay, so here we were focused on just one term, right? One monomial, and now here we're going to look at the whole thing, The idea is that the greatest degree of any term, any monomial in the polynomial. Okay. And so let me give you a for example. I have 5. I have plus x squared minus y. And Jack, I'm going to ask you really quick. We're going to focus on the monomials because we have to be able to look at that individually. So I'm going to take this one. This is the easiest one. What is the degree of this monomial right here? 2. Okay, now a little harder. What is the degree of this monomial? 1. Very good, because we have a little ninja 1 right there, right? And then what is the degree of this monomial? Yeah. If you don't have a variable, 0, right? So what we do is we look for the greatest. Yes. And essentially the degree of this polynomial is, so the biggest number is 2. So the degree of the entire polynomial is 2. So I think the biggest thing to remember is that if you're looking at the degree of the monomial, then you want to add. Okay. If you're looking at the degree of the entire polynomial, you're just comparing and looking for the greatest. Okay. So just kind of keep that distinction in mind. All right. So now that I have that, standard form of a polynomial is a polynomial that is written in the term with the terms in order. Okay. So in order from greatest degree to the least degree. And so I'm going to take the one with the greatest, the 2, right? And I'm going to put that one first, x squared. Okay. Then I'm going to take the one with the 1, minus y. If you don't have a sign, you know it's positive, so I'm going to bring the 0, plus 5. Okay. This is what it looks like when we write it in standard form. Okay. And so essentially we have, right here, we have a degree of 2, a degree of 1, and a degree of 0. It goes from greatest to least. The last one is the coefficient of the term with the highest degree. Now, if it's written in standard form, the highest degree in a polynomial is going to be up front, right? So, and remember, coefficient is always the number in front of the variable. So, Jack, what do you think the leading coefficient for this one is? We're definitely looking at that one. I agree. We're looking at this term because this has the biggest degree, right? And so what is the coefficient? Well, when you don't have anything, it's a 1, right? Got a ninja 1. So basically our answer is 1. And it refers to this one. Okay. Questions? All right, let's practice a little bit. So I'm going to make a little arrow going there. Let's get into example number 1 here. And you know what? I'm going to give you just like about a minute, and I want you to fill out this table the best you can. And I'm going to pause the video here. All right. So basically, is it a polynomial? Yes. All of them were except for 1. Does that kind of match what you have?
Yeah.
And
no, right?
The last one?
Yeah.
Actually, no, that one is. That one's legit.
No.
It is. Because it's a monomial. You can still have, like, for the definition of a monomial, okay, is a product of a variable with non-negative. I'm not a fan of that one, but basically it's one term, right? A monomial is one term. You just can't have negative exponents, right? Remember how you couldn't have any variable in the denominator? So the only one that has a variable in the denominator is this one. That's why this one's no. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So essentially what you're looking for is no variable in the denominator. Okay. Now, for the first one, what'd you get? Monomial, binomial, or trinomial?
Binomial.
Binomial? Yeah. And in this one?
Trinomial.
Okay. This one doesn't apply, so not applicable. And then for D, this one,
That's
monomial. Very good. All right. All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and just wrap up today with example 2A and 2B. So last two, yay, we're in the tail end. And we're going to apply all of our brand new knowledge, our new math words to actual problems. So example 2A, we want to write 9x squared plus 3x to the 6th power minus 4x in standard form and identify the leading coefficient. Just while we're here, I thought I would mention to you that if you're ever in a situation where you don't have access to a math editor online and you wanted to type in this, please know that you could do this by typing in X. And then if you look at your keyboard, it's like Shift 6. It's called a caret. And then you put a 2 right after it. And it essentially means the same thing. Okay? So just FYI, that was Shift 6 to get that little caret. All right. So example 2A, we're going to write this in standard form. So the first thing I want to do is go ahead and separate all my binomials, my terms, and I separate them with pluses and minuses, right? And then I'm going to just draw my little box. Okay. And then the degree of this is going to be 2. The degree of this is 6. Remember, I'm just adding up all of my exponents. Well, I don't really have to add because I don't have any that have multi, but keep in mind when you're over here that you would want to add up both of those, right? And of course, if you don't have one, you can put in your little ninja 1, and that's going to have a degree of 1. So now we need to write it in standard form, which means we're going to go from big to little. So I'm going to go ahead here and start off with the 6. So that's plus 3x to the 6th power. The 2 would come next, plus 9x squared. See, if I don't have a sign, I'm going to put a plus. And then here I finally got minus 4x. This positive, is it really needed? Nah, not really. It's not going to hurt anybody if it's there, but I'll go ahead and take it off just because I'm a little bit like that. There you go. And now we want to identify the leading coefficient. Leading a coefficient, if it's in standard form, mind you, if it's this way, I can't just say, oh, it's 9. It's got to be in standard form. And I look and I think, okay, you know what? It's right up front. It's the coefficient leading coefficient, meaning it's up front. So my leading coefficient is 3. Leading coefficient is 3. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is standard form. And that's my abbreviation for that. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead, pause this for a little bit, and I want you to see if you can do example 2B. Okay, welcome back. So basically, you should have had, like this has a degree of 0. This has a degree of 1, a degree of 2, because you got 1 and 1 right there, right? And a degree of 3. Is that what you got, sir?
Yes.
Okay. And then it looks like it's just totally reversed. We start with 3, then 2, then 1, and then 0. So let's write it. 8xy to the 2nd plus 6xy plus 5y plus 12. Is that what you got? Yay. And the leading coefficient, as long as it's in standard form, is the one that's right up front, right? And so what's right up front? 8. 8 is the leading coefficient. Or pretend that's an E. And there you go. All right, I hope you feel really smart and like, wow, that was the easiest day ever, because it was. And that you come back for more tomorrow. Take care. Bye. All right, Jack, you feel okay about it?